Good evening, honky tonks. Hello again. Just you and me as I have a stroll while saying my thoughts out loud. And I'm very grateful because I know thousands of people out there have the same thoughts and you agree with me. So doing these and your support, sharing and liking my stuff and commenting, supporting me really spurs me on. And it shouldn't just be me doing this, there should be others. You should all be doing this, making your views heard. They're legitimate views, they are valid concerns, and that's why they're trying to cancel us and kick us off the internet, because the establishment, when they understand and learn that there are many of us, we are legion, by the way, we really are. There are more of us than there are of them. And that's what they're scared of. Our collective voices becoming one, and then things change, and they don't want to change. They want things to stay how they are, and the way things are at the moment are pretty crap, and that's why this country is in its state. Anyway, Talk Radio is another GB News. It started like 2-3 years ago. It's weird, isn't it? Isn't it odd that Talk Radio have announced, I know this is in the morning, but this was made last night. I say this every time. But they announced this morning that they're going behind YouTube instead. They're going streaming. They're coming off telly altogether. They'll still be on DAB, by the way, so you can still listen to them. But isn't it odd that they've announced this a day after GB News announced that they're putting their most firebrand presenters, Nigel Farage as well as Neil Oliver, behind a paywall online and streaming and dishing out the edited versions of their programmes on Sunday. That tells you everything. And for Neil Oliver, by the way, to take this, I'm quite surprised. I mean, his monologues are great. The guy says what I think in a more educated and articulate, intelligent way. But for him to take this, the guy who once said we need a revolution, the guy who said we should all stand up and fight this, fight the establishment, fight the man, take it to the man. And for him to take this, I find it quite surprising, but he must have his reasons. So anyway, Talk Radio is going lock, stock and barrel onto YouTube. And Piers Morgan did this a month ago, which is, again, odd, isn't it? Don't you see a pattern here? It's all happening at the same time, isn't it? Piers Morgan did it. GB News told their most firebrand presenters it's happening to them. And now Talk Radio are going lock, stock and barrel onto YouTube and streaming. But once Piers Morgan went onto YouTube, he reverted back to wokeness, didn't he? He was only conservative, patriotic, right-wing, and for freedom of speech, uncensored, to get the views. He used us. He was another Sauron, folks. He dished out those rings, and some of us bought it. I never bought Piers Morgan. The guy's a snake. That guy, he is, his politics can be bought for a price. He is a bought man. Your establishment bought and paid for TV and radio presenter. As soon as he went onto YouTube, he began praising that NHS programme, didn't he, to high heaven. So there we go. His spots change to stripes when it suits. But Talk Radio are now going onto YouTube, and why is that? I'll tell you why that is. It's because Talk Radio, like GB News, have failed. They have failed at being establishment. The same as GB News, Talk Radio, they put their politics, their fake politics, onto that fish hook, cast it out, and some of us bought it hook, line and sinker. But then it tried to become establishment. We weren't buying it, and so we stopped watching and listening. And who was establishment in that programme on Talk TV? Well, Mike Graham, for a start. The guy refused to engage with Tommy Robinson. Now, if you want to prove that you're not establishment and you're for the people, and you are for free speech, and you're the home of free speech, then for heaven's sakes, engage with Tommy Robinson. He isn't the monstrous right-wing, far-right thug as Keir Starmer and Rishi Sunak said he was, and by ignoring him, they're just making him more popular. And by announcing that in Parliament, people flock to him, more people support him, and that's how it works. If you want to see the true measure of a person, then let them talk. But cutting out their tongue, just shows the people and shows the world that you're afraid of what they have to say. And Mike Graham said this, the guy who thinks you can grow concrete. So Mike Graham was fake, he was establishment, and he failed. Juliet Hartley-Brewer, there's another one. It's weird, isn't it? She held our views, and yet she was all for the jab, even though she did say it was it should be a choice. She still took it, didn't she? And then there's James Whale, and James Whale's an odd one. He has all the right views, in my opinion, when it comes to Brexit and politics, but when it came to the jab, he was aggressive. He demanded military-style lockdowns, Chinese military-style lockdowns, everyone to be jabbed. People should lose their jobs if they don't get jabbed. He was one of these fanatics, which was worrying. And so, when it came to everything else he said, I didn't really buy it. So, Talk TV has failed at becoming establishment. It hasn't impressed the establishments because views have dropped, and views dropped because, just like GB News, we were onto them. And so we didn't watch. Something just wasn't right anyway. I'm sorry, no. Like I've said before, people think that I'm against everything and I pick for faults and everything, but forgive me for expecting better and having high standards, not just for myself, but for you lot as well. I mean that we deserve better. We shouldn't have to accept everything that's just given to us and presented as alternative, when in fact, if you look inside, it's establishment. Talk TV, GB Radio, it is all establishment, all of it. There is no establishment radio or television station that represents us, and there won't be for quite some time, because the establishment owns everything. It owns the airwaves, TV, satellite, radio, the lot. So the next time somebody or a station comes along and says it'll be the home of free speech, it'll represent true Brits, patriotic people, etc., don't believe them, folks. Even newspapers, do not believe them. Dig deeper elsewhere. Now, you could have dug deeper by looking into YouTube and people who dig for you, but you can't now. You have to search for them, because, interestingly, if you type anything now that's trending, any topic, it'll be GB News and Talk Radio and other mainstream media stations that come top of the list. Have you noticed that? It's true. That's what happens. So they'll be taking over YouTube. They'll be getting their views on here, and they'll be edging creators out. I mean, YouTube hasn't really been for creators for a while, since Google took over. Let's be honest, it really hasn't. It's all establishment controlled stuff. But they can't control me. They can't control Simon Sideways. We got a problem. Rotten Politics. Who else? Andy the Gabby Cabby. And others. We just tell it as it is, and we dig for you. But, you know, I would rather you dug yourselves and helped yourselves. I would rather you think for yourselves as well. Critical thinking is what these establishment mainstream media companies certainly don't want. They want to tell you what to think rather than how to think. And that's that. I'm getting condensation on my beard, which tells me it's time to go to bed. So thanks for walking with me. I've enjoyed this one as well. I'll see you guys again. Please leave a comment, share, subscribe. My stuff everywhere. They hate that. The establishment hate that when you share creators. Your favourite independent little creators such as myself and the ones I've just named. So you're doing us all a favour, and I thank you for that. Whew. Right, until the next time, I'm Paz49 and Roger Trout.